Sloss and Humphries on the road.
Muggins and cream and muggins, straight thuggin', living the dream.
And that's our intro.
Fucking muggles.
Tickling the clit inside your head that makes you laugh. They said it can't be done.
Hello, welcome to B-Tech Philosophers crossover with Sloss and Humphries on the road, just with Humphries.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me.
Both of our co-hosts, let's be honest, couldn't be fucked.
Family gathering, what I mean.
Oh, really?
What I mean. One of my co-hosts, you know.
Oh, yeah, I'd say family gathering. Michael he was meant to be in Manchester, and then he's not in Manchester. And now, so I was like, oh, you could come do the podcast. And he was like, no, I'm doing something with my mum.
Do they trust us at the wheel, the pair of them?
Absolutely. Let's get real racist on this episode.
Man, I'm not ending up in another book. Too many publications have spawned from me and Edie and podcasting. Like, they shouldn't even make a splash.
Why are we Times best-selling? Kai Humphries, man, it's good to have you in. Good to have you on the show.
I'm proud of you, man, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Because you keep popping up on my timeline with loads of topical clips.
Oh.
And sometimes I think people look at that and just go, oh, look, there we go. But that's you being busy, that. You're writing.
Yeah.
You're doing loads of work for it. You're putting time in. You're going there. You're taking new material at a fucking place that's filming it, putting it out when it's relevant. And I was just looking at that guy and fucking look at that boy.
Oh, thank you, man. It's a lot of, I did a free...
Like, fuck that. That looks... that looks exhausting, that.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. I have three things. There's three things I love doing. I like going to like New Wave and training there. I like doing comedy and I like boozing. And I can only do
New Wave, yeah, BJ.
Yeah. I can only do two of those three things. So if I always have to do comedy, but at the moment I've been trying to do all three.
Yeah.
And fuck, man, my jiu-jitsu's been suffering.
Yeah.
It's the cigarettes, the booze. Yesterday I got found out in a class with blues and purple belt.
That's probably the one of the three that it's going to hurt the most if you slip.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you slip in comedy, it's a bit wounding. You've had a fucking bit of a duff gig and you can pick yourself up and dust yourself off. But that, you may break your arm.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not. It's the ego thing of that where it's funny when you do something because you've gotten into golf recently.
I have fair weather, by the way.
Yeah.
You'll not have seen us over the winter doing it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So
last summer I did, and it's so bad how you can just regress. You can think that you're doing all right, and then you just go one day and you're just an infant.
Yeah. Well, that's like anything because I think you always strip something back in life, which is kind of what I want to talk to you about because you're. Get to the philosophy of something. You are like have some of the best life attitudes of anyone I know. Like not just in a way of like looking happy, like really looking at something and going, well, how can I spin this situation into something where it's a positive? When we always bring up on this show the story of the Chinese farmer, which I think you like quite emulate that in life a little bit. And why were you wearing headphones?
I was going to say you were far too loud. Like, turn his mic down so no one else can hear him. Sorry, mate. Well, we're just complimenting each other. So I hold hands over the table. I'm so proud of you, mate. You're really good. Tell me some nice stuff about me. About how I'm like a Chinese farmer. Wait a minute, what? I'm sure I was just kind of eating.
You know, one of those ones that like died under Mao because there was no rice. Yeah, you remind me of that. No, so. You have this, of anyone I've ever known, just this very positive outlook towards things. And like, where does that come from?
You know what? I just think that there's no sense fucking getting yourself worked up about the little setbacks because they're going to happen along the way. You know, if you're sitting in the house and Dean outright, there's probably going to be no setbacks. But if you're going out and try and do something, like if you're travelling around on, like, to use a recent example, I'm going around to Paris on tour with Daniel, right? And I lose my wallet, right? That sucks losing your wallet, especially in a foreign country. But like, if I hadn't left the house, wouldn't have lost my wallet.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that, like, if you're travelling around, there's going to be little setbacks and you worry about things like, oh, what if my luggage doesn't turn up? And your luggage doesn't turn up and you're like, sometimes luggage doesn't turn up, right? It's like if you're trying to get to a goal or you're enjoying a journey, it's not going to be a straight line. And if there's little bumps on the road that fucking get in your way, then you fucking, each one of them is its own little puzzle that you've got to get your head around and sort it. So your attitude can be, right, what's my next step? My fucking reality's just changed in front of us. How am I going to deal with this situation now to get where I'm going? Or you can just be a miserable outdoor cunt and just fucking going, well, this road's closed.
Yeah.
I'm turning back. And I think it's just I've got a kind of attitude like that, but it doesn't stop us getting fucking wound up. I'm still pissed off about my wallet.
Yeah, I imagine on the road with Sloss, who is the opposite of like, what do you mean that Uber's not here yet? How many people have to die for my Uber to arrive?
He's the biggest elitist I've ever known.
Oh,
while trying to peddle himself as a socialist. he's got an outward like philosophy of socialism, but if there's any way that there's mere peasants on the same status as him,
Yeah.
He'll be fucking angry. Like he's like, is there a way to pay to make this better for me than what it is for these mere mortals?
But I get that. So the other night, me and Darcy, one of her mates ended up like having a hotel room at the Shard. She couldn't make, gave it to Darcy, and like, it was incredible. It was insane. Like this amazing view of London.
Can we just talk about Ryan Cullen in a WhatsApp group? When you told him you're staying at the Shard, he was like, "What's the Shard?" And you're like, what's the Burj Khalifa, lads? Has anyone heard of the Empire State Building?
Yeah.
It's like the biggest landmark in one of the major cities.
Yeah, it's in every. It dominates the skyline of London.
Because it was just me and you in the chat. He's trying to make on like we've got London on this elevated plane of existence that nobody else has because we've spent time living here. You still live here, and in that we were in our own little bubble thinking the Shard was something people had heard of, and he fucking managed to try and spin that narrative for a good 10-15 minutes before fucking all that Scottish lads kept diving in there like, what the fuck are you talking about, mate? Are you tripping?
This is what I also about. Kai is one of the happiest attitudes of anyone I've ever known, but also one of the will not let go the slightest of grievances. There's like things that have happened on holiday 7 years ago where someone forgot to bring back another beer, and Kai's like, well, that just tells you all you need to know about them. 7 years later. Someone took the extra half of a pill.
Round dodger, eh? I remember the time you dodged a round in 2017. Slow grabbing your wallet, were you? That stuck, didn't it? I bet you wish you didn't have that 40 quid now and you had your reputation, huh?
But yeah, so I was staying there, and it's funny. I know you've done like the Dubai gigs and things like that, and also like being on because I've sort of, since I've known you and Daniel, you guys used to tour and do good numbers, but then seeing what the tour has become, and you guys, in sense of building that and doing that, is now a different thing. Like you're staying quite nice hotels, which you fucking deserve, and that's the thing. Always on the road, you want to get that.
When I walk in and my scruffy trackies, I'm like, I deserve this. This is what I get. Like, is there an opposite to imposter syndrome? Is it just being an imposter? I just walk in again. I'm not meant to be here, guys. Suck it, absolutely suck it, all of you.
But you get accustomed to those. Do you now have it? So when I was staying at the Shard, we went to a restaurant there, right? And the restaurant we wanted to go to was fully booked, and so we went to this other one. And we walk in, and this place was fancy. It was overpriced. The food was fine, but it was the view and the vibe you were paying for, and it was very dim, like barely any visibility.
Like being in Hollister.
Yes, and there's like this sort of techno music going on, but going with the food and stuff. But as we walk in, the woman looks at Darcy Fighter, looks at me, and goes, "You know, you got to buy one main each."
That's so funny.
I'm just there like, man, can I one day just walk into a place?
I totally feel that, man. I'm just doing security guards follow me around the shop, so I know who I am. Yeah. I'm not going to steal anything, but I get it. You profile this, I'm cool with that.
But then how quickly you come accustomed to those, even if you're in something like that for a few hours, you come accustomed to like a level of service, you come accustomed to a level of thing. And I totally get why people who do that on the regular, then the minute they go to something where that's not happened, are a bit like, hey, sorry, excuse me, waiter. Hey, sorry, I can see how that happens. Yeah. Rather than someone's, I think we like to label people and just go, well, they're a cunt, they're an arsehole. But you go, maybe they've just got standards that they adhere their life to.
And also, if you're somewhere really expensive, you're very aware of how much money you're putting in your fucking put your hand in your pocket for that experience, right? So if the experience isn't like what you expected for that money, there is a little bit of you that feels shortchanged. It's when people start taking that attitude at like a fucking Wetherspoons, and you're like, you're not paying for the level of service. You get annoyed for not getting. Like, so like, I guess if anybody takes that attitude down the ranks, that's when they're a cunt. Yeah,
that's a good point, because Darcy's like done like a fair few of those things. Like she's stayed in like amazing hotels in Hong Kong and stuff with her family and that. And I was she was telling me, because I've got, if something fucks up, I just let it just fucks up.
Aye.
Like, you brought me the wrong thing. Well, I guess I'm having that. You done it. This isn't cooked to the way I want it. Oh, I guess I'm eating that. She's like, you can send it back.
I hate myself when I do that because I got a cold latte in a place in Glasgow, and it was just like tepid. I was like, I'm gonna have to fucking down this now, and I just couldn't bring myself. to go. Excuse me, me latte.
How much did you pay for it?
Like $3.50 or something.
All right, so I have this theory on things like that. I think I brought it up on here before. That I pay £3.40 for a latte, but the place I went to today in Brixton, it's good. It's really good. So I'm like, all right, you're still fucking me, but you're fucking me gently. You're giving me a nice fucking, fine. But everywhere else around it then does the £3.40 latte. And I go, you don't get to do it as well. You have to have the same standard
experience
that you have. I want to go in there and it's the same level of, so then everywhere starts doing it. And that then becomes the standard price of a latte or, a pint or something like that, and they don't clean the taps. And you go, you don't get to charge me this for the same thing. So there I do sometimes think I should send it back. I still don't.
Yeah, you've kind of also just got to, every transaction that you have, just assume people are watching you. Assume, even if that's the bad outlook, right? Because you're doing it for an ulterior reason, right? But if you're gonna complain about something, do it nicely. They it pleasantly, because if any of your friends from home or your fans from the podcast or whatever saw you being a tit like that sticks. That's who you are.
Oh, my fans would so expect that.
Would they?
Yeah, my fans would be like, oh yeah, that's it. Oh, is that Elliot still? What, the guy who's spitting on the waitress? Yeah, there he is. That's him. I had a thing. I think we're all capable of those moments though. I don't like those websites, or there's this TikTok account where it talks about celebrities and tipping. And I feel I'm going to be a bit Steve Buscemi at the beginning of Reservoir Dogs here. I don't get why we tip. It's not my job. I don't know why my job is now paying. Your employer isn't paying you.
Yeah.
And in America, where they're being paid fuck all, the service is exceptional. They have, when you go to America, that diner we were in New York, you immediately sat down, water, coffee, it's done.
They're like pay whatever you feel like I deserve, and by the end of it, you feel like they deserve a decent amount of your wedge for the experience you've had, so you'll pay it.
Yeah.
But then you get to somewhere like Australia where it's $25 for your fucking eggs, and they couldn't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
They're getting paid already because you've bought the meal that includes their wage.
Yeah.
And then they don't give a fuck. So there is that element, but there's people. I still believe that's the correct method of doing it. You should pay your staff.
Yeah, exactly. And but then here there's we're
probably recruit better if you're paying them well.
Yeah, just do I don't mind people doing their job badly, because God knows I'm capable of, if I can't be bothered at a comedy show, I'm capable of walking on and very much being that waiter there who's being paid out the eggs.
I done the restaurant takeover for Have a Word, so I was a waiter, and I swift realised I was really bad at my job, right?
Really?
But I was fucking stoned, so I was going to be great at it, no matter what the job was. But I was like, right, be super fucking pleasant with everyone and all that, and that totally makes up for it. If you can just be kind and nice and all that, if you fucking bring the wrong dish or something turns out a bit late, it's totally forgiven if you're being sound and they like you.
Weren't you doing shots at the table with them?
I was sitting doing ordering food at that table, I was putting that order through, putting a bit extra on for me, putting it through, and he comes in and pull up a seat and all that. It's so funny because I was ordering drinks on other people's tabs.
Oh, amazing.
So I would go and order drinks at Daniel's table or Lauren's table, right, and put drinks on for me. So when they come through, I'm like, there's your drink, there's mine, right? And it's on another table's bill that isn't mine, right? And I was thinking that I was class. And then I got the bill file on my table and them cunts have been doing it to me. I thought I was the only one doing it.
It's like that bit in I don't know if you've seen The Wire, where they double cross each other and one of them gets sent to prison for life and the other one gets murdered. The two leaders, they both run a gang and they both double cross each other, but you don't know they've done it. And in the end, he's just stood there as he's about to be killed. Motherfucker got me worse than I got him.
You're both doing the same fucking shit of each other without realising.
Yeah,
it's evens.
But I found that about when you get a venue sometimes, and I find this a lot with you'll do a Live Nation venue or something, And so the way it worked was there used to be these beautiful old theatres, and they might be like volunteer, but people who worked there would have a love for the theatre. And with like the sort of corporatization of what's happening with theatres and everything like that, I turned up to one in Bournemouth, and the people don't get like any. He just couldn't get through. I just knocked on the door, need to get through. He's like, you need to walk around the back through this alleyway, this like crack den of an alleyway, and check in with security. And I'm like, can't I just walk through the foyer?
Did you tell our damsel, can you escort me?
Yeah. Can you just let me walk through and tell security? No, it says on our thing we're not allowed to do that. Yeah, but dude, it's not. So I walked around the back and security are outside having a cigarette. And then I just walked in, no problem anyway. And I was like, can I get to the green room? And they're like, what's a green room? And you know, when you're like,
really,
you're like, I don't want to be an arsehole.
The club owner needs to have a look at that, because it really diminishes your worth before you've got to go on and be confident in front of their punters.
Yeah.
So if they can give you a nice experience from you walking through the door to you getting on stage, they're going to get a much better product from you. It's quite a simple business, really. But if they don't care about that, they don't really care about the club. So it's...
Yeah, but I think that's the thing that sort of happens now within this sort of corporatisation, not just of like stand-up comedy, but everything is that the good thing with those places that were like family-owned restaurants or friends who like bought a thing together was that they had a relationship with the people. There was a relationship with the customers. So you'd go to the restaurant that wasn't as good because the people were as nice, and you know that they were friendly and stuff. Whereas the place where it's just like, I'm a big fan of it, Nando's. I love it because I know what I'm getting. But there's no... Also, now I find it weird if I go in one of those places, to be fair, and someone tries to be overly familiar with me.
They're like, have you been here before? You're like, you're like, fuck off then. You fucking stood here waiting for me before you just walk in, have a seat, get me up. Fucking, what are you doing?
Oh, that time where you had to like use your email to order food, that could fuck right off.
Fucking filling in forms. Everyone's just using the pandemic to data harvest.
Yeah.
That's all it was. I'm like, why the fuck do you need me next to kin in their email address? Can't get a pint. I was when I went to a Virgin Active gym once, and it was, what's their next to kin? What's their number? So I put my fucking dad's name, number, right? What's his email address? And I just wrote, if I fucking have an accident, don't email me dad. me dad. Fucking checks his emails about once every 3 months or something. And he'd be like, oh, fucking Kai's had a heart attack in the gym. January 2002.
And I get 15% on the next sale. Like, swings and roundabouts.
Again, back to the doorman thing. It's funny because I remember one of the first things, you know, when you're learning things off like established comedians when you're new. John Fothergill said to us always, make friends with the doorman, always be nice to the doorman, because because you're going to need them before they ever need you. They'll never need you, but you might need them, right? So make sure that they like you when you're on stage, right? That was what he said. That I just watch Ian, I'm like, he's never been given that advice, has he? You walk into every doorman like, why have you got that badge and not me? I can see. You know, I'm regressing at jiu-jitsu at the minute. I could probably struggle for 3 minutes against you, but maybe it's next time. I wouldn't tap you, but, you know, I might make it to the bell.
Yeah. I'll make you need a glass of water. I have a thing with, it's a thing with authority that I totally need to get over, but having that opinion is what's got me to where I don't, like I'm saying with that guy speaks to those who Bournemouth, I have a thing where just I want to explain to people sometimes, like there's a thing in life where really think about what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. Is it that deep? Can we find it? Is it, you know, like when you go into a place like that thing with the guy in Bournemouth and you go, why do I need to walk around it? I'm clearly one of the acts. So let me through here.
It's hard to get through to them, but because like here's an example, right? I was in the Newcastle game on the semi-final, and I'm at the bar and there's a lad there who's got like a massive round. He's looking for his mates and everything, right? And I was like, do you want to hand our drinks to your pals? And he was like, aye, but they're in the barracks, which is this kind of like fucking wristband bar, and he'd walked into the wrong one. So he needed to get out of the public bar into the like VIP bar on his wristband with the pints, but the only way I knew was through the stadium, and you kind of take your pints into the stadium. So all we had to do, right, is going up to the lads who were stopping you getting in with your pints into the stadium and say to them, is there a way we can get these up to the bar on the wristbands, right? And they couldn't get it through their heads that we were trying to get the pints into the stadium. And I'm like, sir. Like, it's hard to fucking, especially my accent, looking like me, holding 3 pints, going, sir, can I just have a conversation with you as adults?
Yeah.
Intellectual discussion. Like, and now you're in a position of authority and you're trying to stop me getting through there, but I just want to know, is there another way without going through the stadium into the bar to get these pints to the people that they belong to after spending overprice at the fucking closed market bar, right? And just man to man trying to have a conversation with somebody with critical thought was fucking impossible.
Yeah.
Like, I just couldn't break the glass between where if he's in a position of authority and I just need some advice on what to do in my situation. It's fucking brutal, man. And it's hard not to get annoyed in them situations.
Yeah, it's really difficult. And like, the things I've had here, as well as, other comedians, slightly vindicated, which we won't go into. I mean, I'm not playing here again, am I? I'm very much.
What are we talking about?
the comedy club here. It's not.
Oh, right, is that the one where you got frisked?
Yeah.
And then you said something on stage about the door staff, but the acts thought you were talking about them.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so unlucky from your part. I can't remember how you worded it.
I worded it very badly.
You said something about don't complain about the comedian that's on last after the experience you've had at the door, something like that, right? But on last, you meant closing.
Yes.
But what it was heard as was on last, on before me, on previously last.
Yeah.
And so the previous comedians got fucking butthurt. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
That was so unlucky for you. Because that wasn't your intention, but it's already landed. The fucking punch has landed. You didn't mean to swing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, it's I feel really embarrassed by it. I've apologised. Luckily, we've dropped it and didn't do a whole podcast about it on Monday.
It escalated that, didn't it?
Well, yeah, we talked about it a little bit, and I feel we were very fair. But the thing that I'll bring, I think, like what happens is, as you talk about online, you see me working and doing things. There's a thing I've sort of discovered recently, which I've never seen you have. Because you're very comfortable, not in just as yourself as a person, but career-wise as a comedian. Like, you work hard, you go around the world, you do all of these gigs and stuff. But you've always been on the circuit, you've always been active, and you sort of live your life with this. I live my life to be happy, not for.
It stifles the ambition a little bit, but like, career success isn't my main goal. Like, happiness is like the ultimate achievement. And if that's me sat in my house with a PlayStation with a fucking dog on my lap, then I'll have a night off.
Yeah, but you're also doing really well. Like, it's not like you're sat, you live,
Oh, yeah, I'm not sat playing PlayStation with a dog on my lap sweating the fuck because I'm not working the night because bills need paid.
Yeah,
so there is an element of that, yeah.
Yeah, and you come from life, you grew up in like a rough area.
There was such a low threshold for what was successful.
it's the fact that you're not on tag. The fact that you're not just sat in your house because you can't leave it is an achievement. But I think what happens is people come into this job and they see people, I have to be self-aware, like my dad is who he is, so I now get accused of being a Nepo baby a lot, which I never used to.
Which is strange because, like, even though your dad is a successful comedian, it's not like you've followed in his footsteps in any particular way. Like, you've had your own route. And I knew you before your dad, so I never had a preconceived judgment of you, but when I eventually met your dad, apart from looks, I wouldn't have guessed he was your dad. He's a much better person. Like, kind of hard, better values. Like, I actually don't know what happened to you.
I thought the same, but the opposite when I met your dad.
Kev.
I love
Lovely,
Kev.
sweet man.
The nicest man in the world. If you know Kai's dad, he's just the sweetest bloke in the world.
That's a sweetheart.
But yeah, so I think going back to what happened where it then sort of escalated, this person already didn't like me. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing because you see my output online, you see, and then instead of going, maybe his clips are doing better because he goes out every night of the week and gigs and refines material and therefore is getting better.
Yeah, like what I spotted when I come in here, I was like, I've spotted what you're doing. I can see the bit that goes out, that's 1 minute, but I also see the fucking hours of work that went into that 1 minute bit. Yeah. Whereas, like, people aren't seeing that hour. People are seeing the 1 minute.
Yes.
That's the thing. So when they see that 1 minute and they see it doing well, they're like, why is that doing well? They need another excuse because, like, they might not be doing as well. And then it's almost hack to just clutch onto the fact that he's your dad.
Yeah. Well, as well, like they'll go, oh, well, it's easy because, Top Secret put him on and they've got a camera. There was years I went to Top Secret and couldn't get on. I had to stand around and watch other comics go on, and then they'll bully me. Like, I'm stood there and Jamali Maddox is on and I'm not on. Do you think Jamali's being nice about it? Like, do you think I've had comedians like ruthlessly bully me for my lack of like bookings? I have been mercilessly bullied for that.
Oh mate, that fucking ongoing bit about you not doing the Comedy Store because you've done your 10 spot, got off on a 20 in verbal, got off on a 20
I did the 20.
No, you've done it now.
No, I did the 20.
Oh, the weekend.
I never got the...
Right, got you. So you've done your Thursday. So you're getting paid at the Comedy Store, which is just a fucking accolade that every new... It's really validating. It makes you feel fucking great. Yeah. It's like if you're trying to get to that gigs, it's a fucking... It's a little skeleton key. Well, it certainly was at the beginning of my career that the Comedy Store give you money. They also give you a key to guarantee all their gigs.
Yeah.
Opens doors.
You could email someone and go, here's where I do weekends. And if they see the store, they should be booking you.
They trust the process.
Yeah.
And they can book you blind based on that. So you had done the 20 and you got verbally offered weekends and you fucking were big bollocks. There's me pals. I do weekends at the store, lads. And some of the people in the group fucking hadn't even done the 20.
Yeah.
So there's like this thing in there. And then fucking 1 year turned into 2 and you still hadn't been off at that weekend. And then just the more time passed, the more fucking people were just hanging on the fucking massive rant you had where you whipped your cock out.
Oh, mate, do you know what's hilarious? I then got given 4 weekends and then some cunt ate a bat. That fucking prick.
You're the real victim.
Yeah, and then what happened is they went to me. They like actually they went to my agent. We're really sorry about. They booked me in for November. They then went to me like just as everything was opening up. They actually went. Actually, we've had a dropout for the opening weekend, the first weekend back. Elliot, do you want to come do it? Yeah, I'd love to. Boris Johnson pushed back opening by 3 weeks.
There you go. This is the thing of pushed back by 3 weeks. It doesn't mean your booking's pushed back by 3 weeks. It means the tide's come in on you and that person's booking's now the first one and then they're booked for 6 months and then they'll try and plug you in later on when who the fuck knows what's going to happen then.
But I playing there, I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's kind of this weird thing. I always wanted to play one for that skeleton key, 2 because I'd felt like I'd proved myself that I was an actual comedian, like whatever. I never really had too many doubts about being my dad's son, as that never really got to me too much, apart from maybe my first year. But fuck, I was struggling to get on the clubs because I probably wasn't good enough. If I'm really honest with myself, I was hanging out with a lot of. Right,
this is the thing, right? When I'm booking a gig, I think like somebody's got to be good enough to smash the gig, but also good enough to be able to spend time with for a weekend, and you're definitely good enough.
Yeah. That's the bit. That's the other thing I will say to we got a few younger comedians listening. If you're gonna have a Patrice O'Neill attitude, make sure you have Patrice O'Neill level comedy. If you're gonna be hard to work with, you got to be really fucking good.
Be good company. Be somebody not only that's gonna do a good job of the gig, but somebody that when they're booked in for that weekend and they're booking their travel, they check the lineup to see who's on and they see that you're on and they're going, oh sweet, I want to hang out with them. Like I want to spend some time. That doesn't mean being an absolute fucking sesh head. Helps.
Yeah. Well, just be laugh. Stick around for a pint.
No, that's it. They haven't just like fly in and out for your spot. Like especially if you're new, right? I was on Red Road just before Christmas trying out some new gear, and the amount of acts that popped in for their 5 spot and disappeared. And like, I didn't take it personally. It wasn't like, oh, you're disrespecting me by not stopping to watch. But like, whoever's headlining, you've got a learning experience that extends past that 5 minutes you're on stage. Your learning experience starts at like how the MC takes the mic out of the stand.
Yes.
Right, and it ends with how the fucking MC wraps up the show, and everything in between that is something for you to learn. Not just me closing the show, trying out new material, right? Like, and how I go about trying new material. Like, there is a bit to be learned from that, but also what people at your level are doing. Also, like what's like, you just fucking absorb the whole thing. It's like turn up to training early and leave last, and fucking like I could have fucking marked down on the fucking list how many of them comedians would still be gone in a year's time.
Yeah, you could tell because of it. Actually, I mean, I did it the other night at Top Secret. I watched Scott Caporo was closing. I went, I'm going to stick around and watch this.
Aye.
I haven't seen Scott in a while. Love him as a comic. And I just stood there and watched, and it was a proper closing set. It felt like this is the last act of the night.
Yeah.
Dark but brilliantly written. cheeky, great, and like it was just fantastic. And I watched it and was like, I'm so glad I stayed and watched this as a punter.
Yeah, it's good.
As a fan of comedy.
Even when you've been gone a while, it's nice to just fucking reinvigorate yourself watching comics that are at the top of their game, because you're not just watching a comic dial. If you're watching a comedian that's at the top of their game, they're not dialing in a set, right? Some of them have been gone for 20 years. Doesn't mean they're at the top of their game, right? So they can be dialing in a set. Their timing's the same. Their wording's the same every fucking day. And then you'll watch somebody that is, again, 20 years, but at the top of that game, and they breathe with the audience. There's a synergy to it. That timing comes at certain, like when the laughter's just about to die in, that's when they come in with their laugh. They don't pick their timing in advance before the laugh. They choose their timing based on the laugh, and they fucking ride that, and they can keep the plate spinning with it. And when you watch somebody that's like connecting with a crowd like that, it reminds you that like that's part of the skill set, not just the words, not just the like, but the actual breathing with the audience. And I feel like if you're watching that, you're absorbing that, as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And always look at people who are like, I, if I'm completely honest, and never really admit this, I struggled a few years ago when I was insecure with myself and my own stand-up and where I am in the industry, that I would be very resentful of other people. That's why, to bring it back to this other person who like did an episode about it, just made up that I was a racist. Made up. But
she was made up. You were a racist.
But I kind of understand, like, fuck, if I'd been going as long as them and was still doing tens, I wouldn't be happy either. Like, I know, and that sounds like a slam. I was there. I get that. They're a good comic. They shouldn't be doing that. But then I also understand, like, there's a level, and I see people do it now. I've worked on online for the last few years. The reason I started working online was mainly because last year I turned up to my Leicester show. 3 people had turned up, and I couldn't do the show.
Yeah.
And I got on the train, and Sean Walsh was on it, and I was just I was just pissed off. And we just had this chat, and he was like, "You're not going to be on TV." He's like, even if you are, you can't do what you do on TV. So you need to do online and learn how to do that. And now that I started doing that, and it's had like bits of success, and I'm getting people coming to shows, and getting in with Top Secret, allowing me a place to have good stage time has made all of the difference. So I'm a little bit less resentful, and then I sort of look at that other time in my life and go, "Oh, I was just a bit a young prick."
You've took ownership. You took personal responsibility. You stopped trying to fucking blame outside influences. And even if you did spend a little time in that pocket blaming outside influences, you identified that like that was stuff you couldn't control. And what can I control? And like, it's an easy thing to fall in, because if you can put your excuses on other people, it keeps you free of blame. Yeah. So you can just be like, well, it's not my fault.
And also with online, I have put out absolute trash.
That's another thing where the nepotism falls down. Your dad never did that. No, what I was going to say before I found the joke was that your dad's not like on modern socials. He does a bit of Twitter, right? But he's not unless I haven't seen him. He's not doing TikTok and Instagram and being prolific on them things. You're carving your own path with that. That isn't something that you've learned or inherited from your dad, and you haven't taken his following into that. You've started that from scratch and grown it yourself. Yeah, and I enjoy. I found a thing that worked with me, and it took a while online. I think there's a thing that you find. It's kind of like when you start going to the gym. And you start doing exercise, and you don't really have a clue what you're doing, and you suddenly find one that you like, and you just over 6 months get better at it and go, "Oh, I now get to do that thing again." But then you'll be a year in, and someone will come watch you doing the bench press and go, "Oh, you need to put your shoulders back and your feet in more and actually arch your back." And you go, "Oh, I was doing it wrong for this year. I thought I was doing it correct." You're never too late in your career to get good advice as well. Like sometimes you can. Do you watch yourself or not? Yeah, I hate it, but yes. So bad. And because you pick up on your tics. It's the only way you can see your tics is if you watch yourself. Like I had one show that I watched back, and I kept saying, "Let me tell you." Let me tell you, I was prefixing army jokes, but let me tell you. I didn't know I was doing that. I maybe heard myself say it once or twice, but I didn't know I was doing it all the time. And then now, every time if I go, "Let me tell you," before doing a story or a bit or whatever, like I'll catch myself and I'll stop it. So you can always fucking improve. Have you had that with podcasting, where you ever listen back to an early podcast? And have you ever listened to that podcast and gone, "That person's an annoying prick," and then you listen back to a podcast you're on and you go, "Oh my God, You know what's
I'm the annoying prick.
You know what's the worst thing when you watch yourself on a podcast? When you laugh at a bit of your own stuff because you thought it was going to be funny and like it doesn't really pop in the room. And you're the only one laughing, and you can see the laugh like lose its confidence and fade. And watching that back, it's like, oh God, that was recorded.
That is 90% of me on B-Tech Philosophers. That is 90% of what I do. But also the thing I'd say about me, I don't fake laughs. I'm having a good time.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Laughter comes from, the enjoyment of something.
Sometimes if the laugh is nervous because you're not confident in the bit that you said, you fucking said it, you nervous laughed, whatever, move on.
Yeah, it's such an odd thing that, like, looking back, stand up. Because I've been trying to work on act outs and things like that now. I write a lot, but I go, I'm maybe not as good a performer as I thought I was when I've watched back, and I've gone, I'm not quite good at performing a bit. So I've been trying to work on that, and it's fucking excruciating.
Is it an important string to your bow as a stand-up? Because I do like the tiniest of act outs. I never stay in a bit for too long. Like I'll never stay in an act out for ages. Like there's one bit where like my dad at work on a telephone call to the hospital or whatever, right? And I'll stay. That's probably the longest I'll stay in of a bit, and that's like 40 seconds or something as I'm having this conversation. I don't tend to put act outs in that much, but then I'll watch Daniel, and he'll be in act outs forever. Like he'll be in act outs for fucking ages because that's like his skill. Like he's playing to his abilities.
Yeah, he's I was going to say with Daniel, I wonder what I wonder where he is in his career, what he looks at as the next step, because it's interesting talking to him at the moment about how are you at that level. And then I thought this with Bill Burr's last special, where Bill Burr's last special was amazing. I was like, I wish the general public knew how hard it is to be at his level and still put out a good special.
Yeah.
That's really difficult to not go backwards. There's comics you hear about, or you go and you see comics who are huge live and you go, oh, fuck, you're a bit off the mark. You've not been in the clubs. You've not hit that.
You've been playing to your own crowd for too long, so they're getting a bit unctuous and they're kind and they're laughing because it's you rather than because it's funny, and then you can slip that way, can't you?
Yeah, or you've been in a film where you've been writing a script, and then suddenly these tour dates got put in. You had 3 months, you put a tour together.
Yeah,
you get out there.
Yeah, you're financially driven rather than creatively. Yeah, I think Danny's managed to avoid all that. Like his new show at the minute, like he's fucking smashing it out there again, and it's got to be a worry that when you're at that level of like, how do I stay in the fucking red line for this long? Like how do I make sure the next one does? And what we've done with this one is we're fucking riding it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll point that towards the shall I? He's because he's got the kid now, and he doesn't want to be on tour for long periods away. So anytime we do go away for long periods, the kid's got to come. And if the kid's not coming, he wants to be coming back. We've spread the tour out over like fucking 2.5, maybe even 3 years. So he gets to just sit in that pocket for a little while longer now before the pressure comes on to do it again. But that also comes with the luxury of having a audience that are going to wait that long to see you.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing when you're at that level is you don't force. I think this with things like Edinburgh. It's insane that you're asking comics who have gone 7 or 8 years to do an hour, and then the next year come back with an hour that's as good. That's an insane premise.
I pulled out the fringe this year. Have I told you yet?
Yeah, you did. What's your reasosoning?
So I'm best man 3 times.
Right.
So every time I sit down to write, I'm writing speeches.
Yeah.
So I've got like around about half.
The Hannah Gadsby model of comedy.
I've got about half an hour of fucking roasting me mates to fucking day before I can write a single joke. That would be like really super specific to people's lives that I just couldn't take onto the stage at the Fringe. I was getting pressured for a title. It's January and I'm getting like, if you want to be on early sale where you'll get like a bunch of press before everybody else is even in the running for it, you want to get it on sale now. And I'm thinking of like show titles and I'm thinking of what my poster can be, but I haven't wrote any of the jokes yet. Now my 2 best shows, I'd say, one is Punch Drunk, which is available on my website.
It's a great show.
Watch it. It's available for free on my website. You can go and watch it. That was about the comedians box and the fundraising that was done for Kane, the 100 Heroes, the Building a Comedy Club with my brother. Punch Drunk, it's the name of the comedy club. It revolves around boxing, the finale of the show. And I named the show and I had the fucking blurb and everything, right? And then that show was a package, right? If I had just like went ahead and titled that show, That's You, or something generic, right? then that would have been shit. Like, it wouldn't have worked. It would have just felt wrong. And then Mischief, right, is the one I've done where I talk about my upbringing in the 80s and the 90s, which is a show I'm touring at the minute. You can come and see us on tour. That one, I fucking knew it was going to be about growing up as a little scally on a council estate. So I fucking graffiti in a brick wall with a show title and fucking call it Mischief, right? Perfect. Some shows I've done one show that I called it Shameless, and I was dry humping a fucking disco ball on my poster, and it was about the bull run.
Can we get that picture up? See if that's can't be shameless. It'll come up on there.
Mate, it's fucking right. So basically, when I took this photo, I done a photo shoot. I just turned professional, right? I'm doing a photo shoot and I'm in the studio and I'm getting some photos in, just regular ones that you'd get for headshots and shit. And then because
can we have a RuPaul Drag Race one?
No, there's a disco ball in the corner, and Marty Lynn, who was taking the photographs, went, because these are getting sent to Molly, and let's do a joke one where you're fucking humping this disco ball with no it on, right? I didn't take the photo as part of a photo shoot.
Oh, that's very funny. There it is.
Right, I didn't take that photo as part of like, this is what I want for my show poster.
It's a good photo.
And I just took that as like a fucking Easter egg for it would be like, it would be funny for my agent to be flicking through, and then just spit a drink out.
Yeah,
right. And that was just like just a red herring. And she fucking pushed for us to have that. And I called the show Shameless. Because I thought that was going to be the show where I talked about growing up on the council estate, and fucking Shameless was kind of relevant at the time, or like past relevant a little bit. And I don't know about the bull run. It had fuck all to do with it. If I'd packaged that show, if that show was in the right box, it would have been a good show.
Yeah.
I would have been happy to record it and all that. And I suppose I could have fucking, I don't know. But so I was getting that pressure this year, and based on my past experience, based on my best shows, which I'd like to compete with. My best shows were half written before I wrote the title and decided to start selling tickets. This one I haven't got fucking shit. I've got a little bit that I tried out over Christmas, and I was feeling the pressure. I was like, I'm going to get on all of these stag do's and be at all of these weddings before August, and the whole time I'm going to be going, you've got to write a fringe show, and I'm not going to enjoy these social occasions that I've committed myself to. So I was just saying, fuck it, I'm just gonna pull it and figure it out.
Yeah, I've got a bit of that. Like, I've been working hard. Well, so I'll be at Wednesday. I'll be at Leicester, February 23rd. Vault Festival, March 9th, I'll be at the Pleasance. And the tickets are selling well and stuff, and I've been working hard on it, getting it ready. But I've also got that thing because I'm on the Stag Deuce, and I've got another season of Unite to help write with Barry. And then I've also got Altitude. I've got these things where I go, all right, that's fun and all, but you can't. When you've got to work, you've got to work now.
Get yourself ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I'm ahead already.
That was my initial plan, was trying to be ahead of schedule. When I realised I had to submit some shit, I was like, I'm not ahead of schedule. This isn't going to work. But if you were to do it, like I managed to do it in 2018. I had my stag do and then the wedding either side of the fringe, and all I was thinking was like, by the time you get on your stag do, have something you can preview already. Because I come back the day I landed from your own stag do, I was up doing a preview.
Yeah, I remember.
And fucking, I had the material, but it was just the head game of it was fucked because I was on a come down from heaps of drugs. So I'm just fucking lying there backstage, like, what am I doing? I drew on that experience. I didn't want to be doing that again.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be coming back off a stag do, jumping up on a preview.
Yeah, I want to get to the point sort of by like June, I know the show, and then it's just looking at the details and also reworking bits, sort of like in jiu-jitsu sometimes. You'll be shown, I could show you a basic armbar, right?
In the laugh.
Yeah.
Like, I'm keeping it in.
Man, imagine if my show was just me doing different techniques. But then I'll train with someone like Owen, who we've had on the podcast, who's like basically the best in Europe, one of the best in the world. He'll show you an armbar. It's not like, and you get to S mount and you just lie back. This is a very detailed, and I think, all right, look at it in comparison of that, someone who's one of the best in the world at what they do. You want to be one of the best in the world at what you do. Find different entries, find different ways to improve those little bits. So maybe it is an act out. Maybe it is, I always say this at the end, but there might actually, or when you've got a bit and it just kind of gets a laugh and you go, no, sit down there for an hour and try think of a fucking punchline.
It's the nuances as well. Like sometimes you can focus on what the punchline's going to be, what's going to pop, and then you'll just put in a turn of phrase on the way to the punchline, and that gets you such a big laugh that the punchline's just an amplifier by the end of it.
Yeah.
And the punchline didn't necessarily have to be the fucking big finisher that you expect it to be, but like you managed to make it pop on the way, and it's just finding them nuances, which I guess the guy doing the armbar is like telling you like, don't grab here, grab here.
Yeah.
Or like fucking they're going to do this next or something like this. I'm struggling to draw parallels.
Look,
but
you're
like
exactly
yeah,
right.
them nuances, like they're the bits that you got to focus on. I'm just going in thinking set up punchline. That's the formula, set up punchline. Just going now. There's actually more to that if you look closely.
Yeah.
The coding of the joke. There's way more than just fucking set up punchline.
Yeah, exactly. Because you see where you are in like stand up at the moment. Like, what's the thing that you reckon you're like learning the most? Like, because you learn so much so early on. I found it very overwhelming.
I think an important thing that a lot of comics overlook is connecting with the crowd. So a lot of people will work on their five, but they don't, if you're not emceeing much, then they struggle to find their voice and how to connect with the crowd. I think that's an important skill, and that's something that I'm really trying to get better at by doing like more
That's
theatre gigs.
yeah,
It
very
really
mature.
helps, Lucas, when you've got a wealth of material, when you've written a couple of shows. You
Yeah.
can read a room and you can tailor a set to fit that room perfectly
yeah.
with still being true to yourself. You just know they're probably not going to like the one where you're mopping up spunk off the floor with a sock, so you do the thing about when you were stuck in traffic with your dad, right? But it's still your learned experiences and your stories, but like you'll know exactly which ones to serve.
Which is going to hit the hardest.
Yeah. So that stuff you notice about like reading the room and working with the crowd, that comes a lot easier with doing fringe shows to develop your material, like so you've got en masse and exactly what you said about MCing, so that you can connect with them and talk to them.
Yeah.
I did that last night. I was in this gig. It was at a PTA fundraiser. The wonderful Kev McCarthy booked me for it. I turned up and I was like, Kev, why the fuck have you booked me for this? And he's like, oh, because I fucking like you, mate. You'll be all right. And I go, I can't go for people don't know. Ken McCarthy is just he was there when the Tunnel Club back in the he's seen all of it.
Aye.
He's seen everything in
Yeah,
comedy.
I think I've gigged with Kev a few times back in he used to do the Glaze.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still does, but I think he was emceeing the Glaze.
Yeah, it's just one of the wonderful people in comedy. One of those people who wants you to do well.
Yeah.
And I went on and I did, I think, like 17 minutes of crowd work of just talking about the gig. Being me, talking about how shit it was, but making them laugh. But in a way, going like, this is ridiculous. What are you doing? But being in on it and making them laugh, because I mentioned at one point, because I saw a girl, me and Darcy had gone for dinner before the gig. We saw a girl K-hole in the high street and I mentioned it and it got nothing. And I was like, you cannot do your drug material. You cannot do any, like, that's not going to work here. So I went to go into material about just Croydon and people, you know, in general. And it got this cheer. And I was like to this woman, oh, are you from Croydon? And she went, yeah, Fulton Heath. I was like, fuck off, I'm from Fulton Heath. And she was like, oh, Hythe Road. Now, Hythe Road, you know that walk from mine to the train station? And you walk down my road and then turn down, you go down a little
You
alleyway.
tell everybody where you live.
Yeah.
You're getting doxed.
Yeah, I'm not giving my address. If you go down Hythe Road, is
I'm just giving them exact directions for the landmark.
and then they if you go down there, anyway, she basically lives on the back of my road. But then she was like, oh, I'm married well. And I was like, oh, and I detected a bit of an accent, but I didn't want to do where you're really from. But she then went, oh, I'm Polish. And, right. People,
Is that what marrying well from Poland is, moving to Fulton Heath?
that's what I said. I was there going, I went, would you make a Fulton Heath? She was like, I loved it. I went, we need to help Poland. I was like, whatever's going on in Poland, they need, if they're coming to Fulton Heath thinking it's great.
It's class when you stumble on them. Like, there was a lad that fucking, I was at Punch Drunk, and it's hard for me, I'm saying Punch Drunk, because I mostly know everybody in the audience. You're not like, oh, like, what do you do? What's your name? And I'll let you, like, you're Steve, you're a plumber. I know that already. I've met you. I went to school with a cunt.
Yeah.
It's like hard. I got chatting to this lad, right? And he was unemployed. He's like, how long have you been unemployed? 3 years. It's like, how come you got made redundant? He was like, where'd you work? It was like, BT. I was like, during the fucking when everybody needed Zoom and everyone needed internet connections, the fucking place is going fucking haywire. People running, there's too much workload because everyone's fucking needing internet, like fast connections in the house, and they're just calling into the office again. We need less staff. I just stuck on it for ages, but when something just fucking lands for you like that, because you don't know what you're getting into now when you get into the crowd, you never know what you're gonna fucking.
Yeah, and I'm not as good as crowd work as someone like you, and it's.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say I'm high up in that.
No, you were when I was coming up. There was people I used to watch. It was Stephen Grant, Mark Olver, do you know what? Nightingale and Jason Cook, but I put them in a different category.
Danny McLaughlin.
Danny McLaughlin, but I put Nightingale. These guys in a Nightingale. I really like that they do this. It's good, but they're going to try and make it difficult for you going on a little bit. Like they're going
to try it necessarily, but like, it's up to you to step up. But like, it's up to you to step up. If the compares the man, right, or the woman, probably the man. No, but you know what I'm saying, right? They are the crowd don't want to see them go. The crowd are excited to have them back. That's your problem to deal with. That's not that you haven't. Don't take it personally. Don't be like, oh, why'd you do that for?
No, I agree.
The fuck up. I step up, and if you didn't think as well as them, that's on you.
I had that Nightingale was Lee's hi-fi one time, was absolutely roofing it, and I think I was like 20 years old. I wasn't a closing comedian yet, but I was closing, and Jen Brister had been on first as well. And I went on, and I did well because it was a young crowd. But I remember getting that midnight bus back from Leeds, all that 8-hour coach to London. And the whole time I was like, man, Nightingale's really good, isn't he? I was like, wow, he's really good.
They're god tier, them lot, like the fucking class. Laura Lex, incredible.
Yeah. Sally Ann Hayward as well.
Yeah, they get pigeonholed a little bit, and it's like, bookings start becoming that. Like I got that a little bit with the Glee, where I was like, I much prefer doing spots. Like, I much prefer doing my written set and fucking and wheeling that out. But I had a couple of good fucking gigs emceeing at the Glee, and now I'm pigeonholed in the fucking Hamley Bookers to MC. If that's what they want to do, then fucking perfect. But if that's not what you want to do, it can sometimes be a little bit like you're boxed off.
How do you feel now about? That's interesting what you were just saying earlier, Lucas, because about respecting the audience, because I think that's the one thing that we don't do enough in comedy, especially now in the social media era. That I don't put up crowd work clips anymore because I don't want to. I'm not a crowd work person. I'll chat to the crowd if need be. Like last night, there's this. I just want to say there was this thing in my gym that I hear a lot of the Polish fighters say to each other called Korva. They always go Korva. So when she went, I'm from Poland, I was like, oh, Korva, and she just looked so offended. I was like, yeah, what does it mean? And she was like, it means bitch. So I'd been in the gym hearing like the Polish lads to each other, Korva,
you little bitch.
Yeah, you bitch. And like they've said it to me, and I'm like, oh, this means, let's duel. And like it's like the version of, cup and cup and like in Muay Thai or something, or us in Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. I thought it was a Polish version of that. They're cunting me off. And I've gone on stage and gone to this Polish lady, bitch.
You thought you were saying good luck.
Yeah, but in Eastern Europe, calling like someone bitch is huge. It's such a huge disrespect thing. So I then just died laughing on stage. Like, I swear I didn't know that's what it meant. But because you like
the 5 or 6 times you've done it to people since, you've got no excuse for that.
But there's this thing now where I see like comics, they'll be doing a 10 spot at the Glee. They could get a 20, could lead to a lot of paid work, and I see them bring out their stand to put their phone in to try create some chaos. That created chaos. And I'm not talking about like Vittorio is like his are great. I love his clips. But I think people see that work for him, and they then try to emulate
that happened quite a bit because
all the time, man. And you see people be like, what do you do? Work in recruiting. Whoa, what the fuck? We got someone who you recruiting for? ISIS? No, it's like just an accounting. It's a software company. Like they're trying to create something that's not there.
They're trying to just say, fucking it worked for Paul Smith, it's going to work for me, but they're doing it on their spot, not like a resident MC in their fucking home gig.
No, and not as good as Paul Smith.
The key factor in all of that. Because I see like I would see the comedians setting up their phone, but like, so I guess if now that they're putting it online, if they've got their phone in portrait, they're watching themselves back if they've got it landscape.
Oh, well, I used to put it portrait, but then if you learn how to edit, you can change it to portrait in the editing, I guess. Like you could do that. And by the way, I used to do that crowd work shit that we're just talking about. I was guilty of that for about 6 months as well. Like I wasn't.
It's fucked up one of my favourite jokes today, the fact that everyone puts clips online, because I used to, when people were recording that set just to watch it back, I would always get porn on my phone and just float it up. It's just like, you know, the bit that was like, I wouldn't fuck up the bit that they're working on. I said, but that is just like a little bit like a transitional bit or whatever. Like, I'll just fucking bring it up.
That's a war crime now.
Put a dude, but no, that would fuck up that clip. That clip's over. So like, I'm always hesitant to do it. No, I still do it.
I quite like the idea of with clips. I sort of go play at your strength. You're good at writing. You got something to say. Go do that. I'm not good at. Whereas I think you're a master of just being so likable on stage that when you chat to someone and you're genuinely interested in what they do, you're genuinely interested in what they've got to say.
Absolute difference between me and Daniel. I mean,
I couldn't give a fuck what you think unless it's the opposite of unless we're having a conversation. I tried to MC one night going, look, I can't do small talk. What do you not make of the Taliban taking over? And then that just failed because of the club I did it at wasn't the place to do it. Yeah.
So you're trying to ask deeper conversations to people who are just going to be rabbit in the headlights if you ask them anything. Some people struggle when you ask them their name.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a hack bit again. The questions will get harder. So if you ask them a hard question, they're going to be absolute fucking like shocked by the situation.
You've had a bit that's come, so like there's like tropes, and I've used them as MC before. I've probably said something like that when I'm MCing. You go up there, you find yourself doing it. Famous one is someone's talking quite loudly. Where do you learn to whisper? Under a helicopter?
Yeah, the stock.
You've had a bit that I've seen, like, because that would have been someone's joke once. Where do you learn to whisper? Under a helicopter?
They all had an inception.
That's a fantastic line. When the first person who said that, that's brilliant.
You wouldn't go into a brothel and have a wank. I don't come to your jobs and knock cocks out your mouth. That sort of fucking line. That's like somebody come up with it once and then it becomes stock.
Yeah, you've had one. I've seen you have like the line and then watched other people.
Is it the one Tom Horton did at my gig? It was the one where somebody started clapping but the audience didn't, and I was like, oh, look at that, you tried to start a round of applause but didn't quite have the leadership skills. And then that sometimes gets a round of applause and you go, see, he can do it, and you like it brings them in and then you can move on from there. It's like you're not wheeling that out at every gig, but it's there if you need it, like a utility bit. But like I soon accepted that, like that's not mine anymore.
Really?
That's stock now.
I've heard people in Australia were doing it.
Oh really?
Like I heard Australian comics were using that, and you sort of go, what a cool thing to have done, but also at the same time, you wish you had the credit. It must be like someone who makes a meme.
I think enough people know for us to not feel like I'm being fucking Billy bullshitter.
Right.
If I go, I wrote that one. Like,
it's not like I went to school. I was in the same class as the Cray twins. Enough people have seen it.
So Mick Ferry told us it was going to go. He'd seen us do it a couple of times. He was like, "You're going to lose that, you know." Like people are going to do that. He predicted that it was going to happen. And then there's a couple of acts up in Scotland, like Liam Wifnell done it and then apologised to us afterwards because someone told him it was me. And then Tom did it at my gig and everyone took the piss out of him for doing it. Yeah. And then it catches on and a few people outside of my circle are doing it. But it's like, it's one of the things where you're in a situation, something happens and you're on stage, you're trying to do your best and you know the exact fucking thing to say to make the situation pop. Yeah. And they used it and it was like, you know what, like I'm not losing out. I'm not, Mike. Like career didn't slip because I lost that.
But don't you wish every time someone used it that they had to give you like a quid?
Oh, it'd be nice to get royalties. If you got into the stock market, like if you got into that was a good club, but I thought when I made. That's really bad. If you could write something for the stock that would end up in the world, you'd probably see a lot more people writing stock.
Yeah,
people would write for them situations.
Are we good for time, Lucas? Or do we?
Yeah, we can run over a little bit.
Oh, can we? Oh, wicked. Yeah. Yeah. Because I always think about those things in stand-up. You know, it's been a stand-up heavy podcast, so it's been fun to chat about with. And usually it's just me and Mike in here having to talk about something the police have got up to this week.
It's good as well if you've got a regular podcast host. You've mostly said everything that you've got to say to each other. It's amazing that after we've begun since 2016, twice a week mostly with a few sabbaticals. It's fucking remarkable that we're still coming up with shit at this point. Like we're like, gotta run dry. But I guess that's what. With touring, shit's happening on a daily basis mostly.
Yeah, Mike can come in on Monday and tell us all about what a lovely day he's had with his mum, I guess. It's funny doing podcasting where you do it with your best mate and you go like, oh, this is going to be like, just hanging out with my mate all the time. And then all that admin and everything comes in and you're like, I fucking hate this cunt.
Me and Danny can get like 3 days on tour without speaking to each other once. In just the airport with our headphones on and all that, like fucking backstage, just watching my own shit on my iPad, and then we'll go and record and just start blathering away to each other like we're catching up for the first time in 3 days.
But do you find that on tour? Because I'd find this when I'd go like away with a few days with Jamali or something.
Yeah.
We'd need an enemy. Would need someone to do something like a ticket inspector, be a bit rude on a train, or someone at a coffee shop be an arsehole, and then we'll take our headphones off and be like, what the fuck was that about? Because we've said it.
Jamali's the funniest person to travel with. I've done a surfing festival in Lagos in Portugal, not Africa. Is there
Lagos.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
In Portugal, and there was just this lad. It was me, Jamali, and Mayahog, and this lad who was on the holiday on the festival on his own, tried to like just be part of us. And he kept like, what we're doing next and all that, and we're like, oh, we're going to just head back to the villa and just get sorted, maybe have a nap and all that, but we'll maybe see if you're at the bar later on and all that. Right? He walks away and he goes to the bar, and then Jamali's just like, what's all this weed shit? Don't pluralise that shit.
He's the funniest guy, man. When someone winds him up.
It was when Mayahog bought weed off someone on the street as well. He had this like block. He was like, oh, we're not here for very long. Like, we're going to get for like 40 euros or whatever. And he got the block and he bit it and spat it in his hand and gave it to Mayahog with the money. And then Jamali's just like, you're just going to smoke that gypsy teeth weed? I guess you're smoking gypsy teeth weed.
I love those things. It's that is the best part, is travelling around with your mates when you end up in places like when we were in New York and you're doing stand-up. Yeah. There's the reason to be there is your career, and I remember just having like drinks with you and Natalie at the top of like the One World Trade Center, and then we just left to do shows, and it's this bizarre experience where you've just gone like part way around the world with someone to go be an arsehole in front of people.
Just jog on, pass us by, people watch out loud.
It's such a cool thing. And those moments, like, I was saying this, we talked about this earlier, I have this with, the really cool moments do outweigh the bad moments, but fuck me, the bad moments are bad. Oh, yeah. When you're doing that bus from Leeds after Dan Nightingale has just shown you really how to do comedy.
Some of the bad bits is like bombed on a Christmas gig in Nottingham, right, and I've got to drive home. And I got to get a meal deal in the fucking Tesco, that sort of, right? And I fucking got in and I'm selecting my sandwich and I felt like a loser. It's like, oh, it's that fucking guy who bombed a gig and I eat a sandwich. You're gonna choose which sandwich you like. You want the ham one or the tuna one? And you're just there trying to pick a sandwich, feeling worthless as fuck. And you're just like, I might as well not eat. It's them low moments that fucking suck. But you know what I say? Fucking leave the house, you can't lose your wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, you fucking...
Do you remember the last time you lost your wallet?
When I fucking left it on a flight in my whole bag of valuables in Phoenix.
No, I didn't know you'd done that. I meant when we...
edible and fucking just went, I don't need my belongings. I am just free now.
I meant when we both did MDMA and played Knockdown Ginger in Nottingham.
We're playing fucking... We're walking back, we'd get cigarettes from the garage, which 24-hour garage was like 45-minute walk away. So
I think it was
pilgrimage.
It was a 20-minute walk, and then I took us back in completely the wrong direction.
And I was like, I know what'll get us back faster, and just started knocking on doors.
But then your wallet fell out on the person's door, so they made about 150 quid, and also had your name and address of the
bag of MD.
They were like, what a nice person.
Middle of the night, open the door. Oh, what's this? Drugs and money. Yes. Woo. Thank you, Kai Humphries.
I remember one time I was at festival and we'd been out the night before, like we'd partied. And the next day I was talking to a couple of boys from the Noise Next Door, and they're quite, tame lads. They're lovely people, but it's not.
They want to go back and play a board game if you want.
Yeah.
It's just fucking great.
Yeah, it was. And
you're just on a different frequency at that time in your life.
Yeah, and we were walking back, and I was telling them like what we'd been up to the night before. I was like, yeah, man, it's great. You're 20 years old, you and Kai, and he went, No, wait, Kai's 32.
I got no excuse, mate. Like, I got no excuse. I don't lie about my age, like, but I'm starting to look like one of those guys that lies about his age. Fucking over Femi Martin's over here.
Have you ever thought about having a stage age?
Nah. I try and grow up as gracefully as I can.
Yeah.
That's how I am at 40. I do question that, like, if I start, like, live the way I'm living and start approaching 50 and I don't have kids, like, is that just a loser? Or is it a winner?
No, I don't know. I think you got those things like in society where there are the pressures to have kids, there are the pressures to do this, there's the pressures to do that. But I would say in your case, as much as you have every story about going out and partying and that, I also know you as the guy who, you know, is going to the gym, leaves the gig, doesn't have a drink, goes home, gets his macros in.
Handle me shit.
Yeah.
I fucking, like, Lass has just opened a new business and I fucking helped her set that up and everything. Like, I've got fucking shit going on, but, like, some people, like, that don't know as deeply, they'll just get that window into my world after a gig or at a festival where they just see us as this pure sesh head. But, like, I keep myself in shape, my fucking finances are in check, fucking, like I say, my wife's business is up and running, my marriage is healthy, like, I fucking got all my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
I party like a gun.
But you also have that, you know, last night you did the Palladium, you're doing there again tonight, and you're still up to come in here at 10 a.m. Yeah. You know, there'd have been any number of people would have been able to go, well, I just did the Palladium, so now I'm going to go out and get on all the fucking coke and stuff and do all of that shit.
I've been dying to come on this podcast, and also we're both putting this out, aren't we? We've been let down by our co-host.
Yeah.
we're more successful co-hosts.
I wouldn't say mine's more successful.
The B-List Philosophers.
I wouldn't say Mike's more successful. He's got another 3 years of the industry putting him on.
He exudes success more than you do.
Oh, God, yeah.
You feel, if I watch these two, I'm like, I look at him and go, well, there's a successful.
Do you know what it is with Mike? Is like he always whenever I'm with, like, say we had to go do Leeds Fest, and the whole time, like, he's got his agent calling like, hey, you're right to do this, and he's like, what's the fee? I don't really know if it creatively is it's hitting the marks for what I want to do, and the money's good, but I shouldn't really just be doing things for the money. And then I'm there and I ring my agent and it just goes to answer phone. They're like, yeah, mate, keep putting the clips out.
And it didn't ring out to answer phone.
No.
It cut sharp to answer phone. Yeah. That was a red button, that.
I got a text. Who's this? How did you get this number? Oh, Mark's lad. Kai Humphries, man. Thank you for...
Mate, have been dying to come on your podcast.
We'll get you back on when Michael's here as well. We'll get you and Danny on and come on and talk shit or whatever.
And we do plan on, for people who are watching my podcast, we do a thick cast where we get Elliot on and we'll ask him loads of questions that are moderately difficult so that he can just pretend he knows the answer. It's not the fact he doesn't know the answer, it's how much bullshit he's going to tell to make it look like he does know the answer, which makes it fun. And he's going to set up a podcast, like a reverse thick cast, where he fields the questions to...
I've got some plan.
You pitch the questions and we field them.
Yeah.
I realised I've been saying that wrong for so many years. If you field a question, you're the one receiving it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess like in
Look,
cricket.
how you look that up. Oh, no, because I got Natalie tell us that. I do know you're saying fielding wrong. I do trust her.
This guy, he barely...
It's sorry, mate,
doesn't look shit under him.
It's because he grabbed his phone. Like, I thought he was looking it up. I wasn't asking him to look it up.
No,
I thought he was looking it up. That's why I asked.
Half the time while we're recording, he's in a WhatsApp group.
Shit. No, half the if you say that someone feels a question, you mean that they answer it or deal with it.
There we are. Yeah.
Wicked.
So me and Daniel are going to field the questions from you that will make us.
I've got something called
how
characters.
Devastated would you be if we just give you really nice, articulate responses?
Nailed them.
It was
ruined the
like
podcast.
A 6 minute podcast of just trivia. So we're going to set that up at some point.
Yeah,
soon.
definitely. That feels like a thing where naturally it might be done during the Fringe or something, or next time you guys are down.
Yeah. Oh,
there'll be
'cause even though I'm not doing the Fringe, I live in Glasgow.
Are you still going to pop over and do gigs?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Aye.
man.
Yeah.
You could do that thing.
I'm thinking of doing a partial run as a split show with Gareth and Cullen.
Yeah, great. That's a great idea. And even if you do it midweek, you then can still leave your weekends to go and do the fucking fun. Dude, there's so many gigs you can do. That would be my advice for newer comics at the moment as well, coming through. Don't do the Fringe. Go up to the Fringe. Don't do the full run yet, and pick up gigs. The Fringe is an expensive hobby.
Yeah, go and have, even if it's not the full month, go and pop in. Like I've done it. So I started in 2008, 2009. I was brought there for the the competitions. So I had to do my competition heats there, and while I was there, I jumped on a bunch of like free fringe stuff, like jocks and geordies. There's always something that'll like have you on. Go and like experience it, and then just go away from that with a thirst to come back and live there for a month. Like just give yourself like a little fucking taste of it, and then work on your show for the year after.
Yeah,
I reckon.
So Kai Humphries, you'll be on tour.
Yes, I'm going to be doing Glasgow on March the 19th, and then the rest of them are when I get back from Australia. If there's anyone in Australia, I'm going to be doing solo shows there. Look at my website, kaihumphries.com. In May, I'm going to be doing the Soho Theatre in London. I'm going to be doing Hot Water in Liverpool, the Frog and Bucket in Manchester. So there's the Black Sheep in Leicester. There's a handful of gigs in May that you can come to, and I've also got a show online if you want to watch it now.
And you've got a special on your website as well, which is a really cool way of doing it. Sign up to the Patreon for just £3.50 a month. You get an extra bonus episode a week. Even if you're just a casual listener at the moment, we're giving you loads of bonus episodes, whether it be my mates dropping in or arguments I'm having with lesser comics. And
There's that laugh I was talking about earlier. There's that laugh. There's that laugh we're going in the
Lucas
can.
enjoyed it, but I'm manipulating Lucas as well. That I have to burn a lot of bridges for Lucas at the minute, just by him being on this podcast.
And the beautiful nature of this new fucking way the industry's going is the cross-pollination. If you watch Sloss and Humphries on the road, now you watch B-List Philosophers, so catch on them for now and vice versa. Let's just fucking share with friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been Elliot Steele.
I've been Kai Humphries.
Thank you very much.